Here we go.
Are we live?
It says we are.
Good morning. Beautiful Monday to everyone. I'm just ensuring that we are live. Heather, do you see us? Yes, I do see us.
You see us? Are we here?
We are here. Whoop, whoop. Blessings, beautiful beings on this Monday.
Good morning.
Morning. We haven't done our mini training for I guess it's been 2 weeks because we had our challenge last week.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it has been a while.
Oh,
so exciting.
I know. I love when we do our live videos. So this is so cool.
I do too. Well, and this one came so naturally. The topic for today, especially because it came out of the conversations that we had last week with all of you during the challenge. So I think this is especially good.
I think it is especially poignant too, because Heather and I, of course, were listening to each of you and, the different struggles that you are having, because we really want to pay attention to how we can help elevate you and also empower you and give you the tools that you need to really, feel in more alignment with your own business, and also make it so much easier and simpler to be in business as well.
Yeah.
And so much of what we heard last week were things that Heather and I have both gone through. And Heather is actually going to share a story in a minute about her own money story, because we heard last week when it came to sales and, your offers and marketing, that there was a lot of stories coming up about money and about charging and about pricing. And this is a big part of business, because money is something that I would say we really need to get comfortable with talking about. Sales is something that is, it is sacred. And that's why we called it Sacred Sales last week, because sales is service. And your pricing and how you feel about your pricing and how you feel about, asking for money or giving the amount of your program, the investment of your program, the energy you have behind it, will your ideal clients can feel that. They can feel when you're solid on your pricing, or when you shrink back, or when you're oh, no, that's fine, here's a discount, or oh, it's free, versus hey, this is the price, this is, being in an energetic yes with it. And I've had to do a lot of work around my money story, even growing up in, I would say, a pretty privileged household. But it brought up all my shit. Money will bring up your shit.
Oh cow, yeah, for sure, 100%.
It will bring up your stories of childhood, of scarcity, of resistance, of value that you have for yourself, your worthiness, your just every single thing there is. And so last week we heard a few of you that were having some moments of resistance towards raising prices, about affordability. And I think that is a really great tie-in. So we're just going to go into that about affordability, because that is a really powerful word. And the pieces that I would like to interject, and Heather, please do interrupt me anytime you have a nugget.
I actually would like to interrupt you really quick, just to say hi to Heidi. Hello, Heidi. We've got Heidi Snyder on with us. So.
Oh, hi, Heidi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And then, yes, please do continue with affordability, because this is something that we've been talking about this morning, because this is something that I actually feel really, well, we're going to talk about it some more, but I feel really passionate about this, because I feel like so much of it is in assumption. And it's when you're assuming that other people cannot afford your products or pay for your services, that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to anybody. And I personally would never want to be the person who was on the other side of that assumption, being told, well, I just don't know if you can afford my services. And so, yeah, anyway, please continue. But this is something that it gets my, I don't know, something, gets my blood boiling. Anyway, go, Crystal, you talk about it.
Yeah, I think that is so true, because affordability is, it is a belief. And I would say that is true for all of us, right? What we believe we can afford. And this goes really into how we feel about our ability to also generate more wealth. And that's what I really learned is like affordability for that I really did work on was it's a belief system. If I, I could say the difference between I can't afford it versus, ooh, I really desire that. And I might not see that money in my bank account right this moment, but then it's like, I'm going to choose to shift to, ooh, how can I make this happen for myself? And and I think that goes back to the affordability. Like, I can't afford it. I can't do this. And we carry those stories with us into our sales conversations with people. And that goes into the assumption of like, well, I know XYZ about my client, or we don't even really know anything about that, about their particular situation. And we just assume that if we have a price tag of $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 because of our own experiences and stories with money, that this person cannot. And so we'll victimize. Like, I've seen this and I've done this to clients and it doesn't feel good, where we put them in victim mode, like you were talking about, Heather, of like, well, I got to lower my prices, or I won't offer them the thing that they actually need and will help them the most because I am assuming they can't afford it. And I've done that to a client, and I've also had that done to me. And it's like, no, I really want that. And I remember one particular, I think it was a coach, might be wrong on who it was, but either way, so somebody like was downplaying, and I was like, no, but I want that. Like, I want your bigger program. And they like were very hesitant to sell it to me because they thought I couldn't afford it. And I thought that was like, and I was like, your lower program is not the support that I want. I want the big kahuna because I'm so dedicated to my results that I want all the extras. Like, I want all the stuff that you're offering. And it felt really crappy.
I was gonna say, like, on the flip side of that, I had a client who, and this was years ago, and they wanted me to work with them, and I gave them my price. They couldn't, they told me that they were not able to afford that. And I allowed them to bring me way down in my price to the point that they felt really good about what they were getting. However, I felt so just gross offering my services at the price that I was offering them, that I know that what I delivered to them in terms of product was not my best work at all, because the whole time I just felt icky. Like, it didn't feel good to me. Like, that exchange of energy did not feel good. So yeah, there's like both sides of that.
I so hear that. And I've done that too. And it's like that piece of, I'm lowering my prices knowing that like there's expenses, right, too. And then it's like you're giving so much energy, and if you lower that and you're expending all this energy, but you're not receiving that same energy back, because money is really energy, it's very draining, and then you get burnt out. And it's
well, and then you just don't give the same amount anymore, like maybe not even to them, to everybody, and then nobody's being served well.
And resentment, that's the word that I was
Yes, I still have a client that I resent for that exact reason. Like, someone that I just feel that, like, this did not go well. It's just that crunchy ickiness. So maybe resentment is the right word, but it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. And I've definitely felt that. And then it's like, but in it, I'm like, I resent myself because I didn't hold myself to also the higher quality that I wanted to give. And that is something that I've really thought about in my pricing. It's like, when I think about the ideal program for my client, and I'm like, I want to give them this, I want to give them this, and I know they'll be able to reach their goals, because if I give them this delicious package, there's like no way, like unless they just decide to not utilize any of the advice and all the rest of the tools that they would give. It's like, it's so juicy and it's so good. And then if I go, oh, I'm going to charge way less, I can't even give to them at that same level. Like, I cannot give them everything. And then it's like, you're kind of like, and then it's becoming what I would call like mediocre services. Like, you're just like, kind of like, services. And so I think that's such a poignant thing to remember, is how your money story shows up, that you're projecting onto clients. And so, Heather and I were talking this morning about it. And so we really encourage you all to explore that. How do you project your own money story onto your ideal clients? And with that, the other part that I want to get into before I interview you, Heather, about this too, is that, you know, in terms of you, we heard a few of you talking about like, I know what it's like not to be able to afford certain things. I grew up in, you know, with the label of feeling poor and not having access to certain things. And I also want to be able to serve people. And excuse me, we so honor that. And we so, I know I felt that. And I'm, you know, from our conversation with Heather, I know she has felt that
I
too.
definitely have felt that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a great feeling, right? To live in that feeling, and so I would say that the less money you make, the less you can help people that are in greater need. And if you decide to run a nonprofit, right, that's different. Or maybe that is your ideal client. We did not hear that last week, that it wasn't your ideal client. That was the lower income, let's say. And I would say the more money you make, the more you can give back and have your free services, because you're also so filled up. And you're like, yes, I'm serving my clients on this high level. I'm receiving my wealth. And now I can go and spread it. And that's one reason Heather and I are so dedicated to seeing you all reach new levels of success, is because we know that when we do, because you're all beautiful beings of light, love, compassion, and you want to help heal the world. You want to help people that are really in need, that you're going to give back. And I think that's so beautiful.
Just to interject really quick. So in speaking about offering services to like a lower income population, or being able to offer services to like in a way that makes them what people are kind of labeling affordable. I think that it's really important to think about where the money is going to come from, because I think Crystal agrees with me that the money is still going to need to be there. If you are charging a less price for your products and services, so that other people that you know traditionally would think would not be able to afford it are able to afford it, then the money still has to come from somewhere. And that's where things like, you know, thinking about, is this a nonprofit or is this a business? And not just that, but like, you can apply for grants, even at like a lot of times when you are a business, you're able to apply for grants. And so like just thinking about where the money is going to come from, how you're going to keep that money flowing in so that you can continue to offer your services, because it still needs to be there. And so anyway, that's just something that I wanted to interject, because I think that we're not necessarily saying that you can never offer your products or services at a price. You know, if your ideal clients are people who you feel are not able to afford something else. However, you do need to think about where that money is going to come from, so that you can continue to give energetically, and so that you have the resources available to you to help the greatest number of people as possible.
Yeah, that's so, I think that's so true. And that this is also too, as you grow in your business, that we talked about this, not to create so many offers right when you first start, but to have a goal in mind of like, I'm going to have different tiers of my program. And that, so you might have like one free program that you run once or twice a year or every quarter that is for your community of people that are lower income, or, you know, you have a scholarship fund that you set up. And Heather and I are, you know, like as our business grows, we're talking like, how does that look for us? How do we want to give back? And then what are those different levels? And that's something that I definitely set up in Color McHale. And it took a minute, because, you know, I have my, you know, definitely like my top tier VIP program, so to speak. And then I have, you know, I have different price levels for people. And, you know, so something to think about as you do this. And now with that, Heather has a really amazing, great, like it's a teachable story that she's going to share with us about something you've learned in business. So please take it away, Heather. Tell us about your money story.
Yes, absolutely. And also I was going to welcome Christine. We've got Christine here with us. Hello. This morning. Yeah, so I wanted to tell you a story. Some of you have heard this, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it again for those who have not heard it. So about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I got this idea in my head that I wanted to start like a cookie business. I wanted to make cookies. I loved to bake and make cookies. And I got to this point where I was just so, like, I was obsessing over it. I was passionate about it. I read blogs, I watched videos. I was up until like 3 o'clock in the morning every night watching like how they did the decorations. And for me, I think a lot of it was about art, because I'm a creative person and I really enjoy art. And so I just thought they were beautiful. And I really wanted to get into it. So I started doing all this research and acquiring the resources and tools that I needed. And I started a business. I started a business having, as a bakery. And I started getting clients, and people loved what I was doing, and I was really excited about it. And I remember I used to post, I would make shortbread and I would post my my cookies in like a Facebook group, and within an hour they would all be sold out. People would come to my house and they would purchase them and they would all be gone. Like, I loved this. This was fun. It was something that really brought me a lot of joy. And hello, Stacy. Got Stacy here with us. So as the business got started, it only took about maybe 1 or 2 months before something kind of settled into me that felt like I started to feel kind of, I guess, icky, basically. Like, as the money began to come in, I actually remember the feeling of like energetically rejecting it. Like, as it would come in, I was like, ooh, no, please don't. And when people would ask me what my prices were, I never wanted to have that conversation. And when I did have that conversation, it was like, well, what do you think I'm worth? I mean, it was pretty sad. And I got to a point where I actually began to lower my prices. I had some feedback that came back. I remember one client in particular gave me some feedback that had me feeling as if my product was not up to standard or not up to par. And so I began lowering my prices, and I lowered them and I lowered them and I lowered them until I was literally giving away my cookies for free. And I remember one day someone came to pick up some cookies, and she walked up to my door, and I handed them to her, and she said, "How much?" And I said, "Just take them." Because at that point it was like, I just wanted them away. I just wanted to like get rid of them. And people continued to ask me, like, will you make me cookies? And I just started saying words like, well, sure, but only if you let me do it for free. And this is going to surprise everyone, but that business totally flopped.
Your free cookie business flopped?
Yeah, is that weird? Super weird. I don't really know why that happened. So it was just such an interesting time in my life, and something that I have, of course, since reflected on. And it's also something that changed and shifted over time, because as I examined that money story, I was able to see that so much of that was actually wrapped up in the way that I felt about myself, and the way that I perceived my own worth in what it was that I was offering to the world. Good morning, Nanya.
Good morning.
Good to see you. And so over the years, then I have worked on that money story, and it's been a journey of especially being with other women who were strong and powerful in their own businesses, and learning over time how to price what I sell, how to price my services, and getting to a point where I actually am comfortable being able to say, here's my prices, would love to work with you. And yeah, so anyway, I am just so glad that I had that experience. It was really rough. And I look back at that, and I think about, I mean, because I can feel that still, like in like my whole center, like I can feel the way that I just pushed it away and said, no, like take it. And that's definitely not me anymore. So
yeah,
interesting.
I'm really joy-filled that Heather had her bakery flop, because I don't think you'd be here right now. And two, I love your evolution of money.
Mm-hmm.
within this story, and hearing you say how that was tied to your worth. And when you were telling the story, the thing that really stood out to me is that your business was going well, and that it was like
Right.
the wealth was too much, because you were like, I'm not that, like, I'm not worthy, I'm not worried,
Yeah.
like, here, just take it, even though your business was going well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. It was actually going really well. Like, I'm not sure where it could have gotten to if I had actually been able to continue. I'm glad it didn't, because I actually am doing now something that brings me even more joy than the cookie business did. I still like art, but this brings me even more joy, and so I'm really grateful for that. But it's so true. The money was coming in, and it scared the shit out of me. So
Mm-hmm.
I think is a really, yeah, yep.
Yeah, powerful story. I'm curious if anybody that's watching has ever had that happen, where you started to make money and then you were uncomfortable with the amount of money that was coming in and energetically rejected it. And I think that is a whole conversation also to continue in itself, because I've done that myself when I've been like, oh, you want to give me money? Oh, like it was like, oh, I don't know. It's like, is that really that valuable, or if that is that thing? And like, ugh.
Well, and it maybe brings up that feeling of the pressure of, well, now I have to deliver something. If you're going to give me that much money, then I have to deliver something. And then if you don't feel like what you're offering is worth it, or like you're worthy, then I think that definitely takes it to that place of, oh, take it back, take it back.
Take it back. Yeah, there's so much stuff wrapped up in money. And so that's one reason we wanted to go live today, is because we were hearing that last week. And it's such an exploration that we really invite you into, because, and especially in community of women, because like you said, Heather and I'm curious too, like how did you shift your money story? What are some points that helped you shift your money story over the last 2 years?
Yeah. So, number one, the biggest thing for me personally was being in community with women who were strong. And it was interesting, the community of women that I got into. So I guess to back up just a tiny bit, and so this is also a story that some of you know. However, I began, when my cookie business failed, then I became the communications director for a nonprofit organization called Women's Way Red Lodge, which is largely centered around women in leadership. And so being in that organization and being with so many other women who were so powerful and strong and confident in what it was that they were bringing to the world really lifted me up. That helped me so much to be able to see that I was what I was also worth, and that what I was bringing was also valuable. And so that was really big for me. The other thing was a lot of personal work with mentors. One of whom was Crystal. Crystal and I were working together at the time, and we talked about money, and that also really helped me. And there were other like women and mentors and like books that I read. There were definitely things that I did to continue to examine the way that I felt about money. And in a lot of ways, I think that the greatest change for me personally came when I worked on my relationship with myself. And when I worked on, it's so often with so many things, it's not about the money. It's not about the relationship. It's not about the food. It's about yourself. It's about who you are as an individual and how you feel about yourself, and the work that you need to do with yourself personally. And so for me, that was a huge part of my money story, was getting to a place of comfort with myself. So yeah, I definitely say that was one of the biggest shifts. And this is also why I love communities of women, because I see us as so invaluable to each other's success in the way that we support one another. And I just think it's just so special the way that we all show up for each other, and have the opportunity to lift each other up in collaboration.
Yeah. And I think that's like, when people say lift each other up, to me, that's like watching a woman earn her boldness and in her power and in her strength, and having the mentors and your peers and being like, whoa, like, look at her, like, oh, goddess, beautiful goddess, she is doing it. Yes. Then you're like, that also then empowers me. And I'm like, yes, thank you for like sharing that energetically. And then I can stand also too and be like, this is who I am. This is what I offer. This is my prices. These are the results I bring. And I'm here to change the freaking world, and it's going to happen. And that is like so invigorating. That's one reason I love this work. It's because it's made a huge difference to me through retreats, through being in masterminds, through being in communities like the one that we're sharing, is because then I'm like, wow, like give me some of that juiciness. Like I want to share in that. And also, how did you get there, and being in the learning, the education, because, money isn't just about pricing perfectly, when it comes to your programs. There is no like exactly what you should price. It's all about, that value. Hello, Faye. We've got a visitor. Tiny wild woman on the loose.
Faye, I'll be done in just a minute, okay? All right, thank you.
Beautiful tiny wild woman. Future entrepreneur, future president of the United States, future. She's gonna do
president of the world, actually, possibly.
Oh, yes. 100. I expect nothing less from Faye.
Oh yeah.
And so, that, through everything that you were going through, last week, our invitation is to really be gentle with yourself, and also really be an exploration about that money story, how it comes up. Are you energetically rejecting it? Are you projecting your money story onto your ideal clients? Are you being an assumption of what is affordable? What does affordable even mean? Like, right? Like that's a belief system. And also, how is playing small actually hindering your ability to help more people? And I think that's such a big piece. Like you playing small and not doing this work, not, to be so bold, it is really not only hurting your business, but it also like really has an effect on, the whole entire world. So I see it as a great responsibility that we have for ourselves in order to do this work, is so we can change the world, is to figure out our money stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And on the subject too of being gentle with yourself, to just allow yourself the opportunity to know and understand that this is a journey, that we are all working on our money stories. We are all working on ourselves. This is a continuing thing. This isn't a process that's going to happen overnight. Maybe one small step, something that that we can do now. I'm seeing we've got a comment from Stacy. Stacy says, when people told me my massage fee was too much, I would say,
yesterday and all day.
I'll talk to you in just a minute, okay? Just a second. When people told me my massage fee was too much. Come here. Crystal, you take it.
Yes.
Did you pour my milk yet?
Beautiful Faye. I love Tiny Wild Woman coming to hang out. Faye, do you want to say hello?
This is my daughter. This is Faye.
Before my cereal gets soggy.
She would like to go have some cereal, so.
And I also want to turn for the TV.
Okay.
He had it all day yesterday. And he had it all morning.
Being in business for yourself often means kids running around. I love it. Thank you, Heather, for sharing your beautiful daughter.
Thank you all for, allowing that.
Stacy says, when people told me my massage fee was too much, I would say, do you want a McDonald's cheeseburger or a prime rib steak? That's the reason for my fee. I'm a prime rib steak massage therapist. Oh, I love it. Christine, absolutely. Yes. And Nanya, this is an important and timely topic. It truly is. And it's something that, I, like Heather said, we work on together, and we collectively, like if you see all of us together, right? Like I want to see women, like I know who I purchase from, and I purchase from women who are very solid in their pricing. I purchase from women who really value themselves. You can feel that energetically. And if they have a high price, it's, it's also too like a high price to me. Like maybe I have like an idea in my mind. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like really being in the how, and just, thinking about the clients that you do want to attract, and thinking about all, how your money story comes into play. There's just so many layers of this artichoke to go through. We're not going to cover it. I think we covered a lot of them today.
There's so much.
There's so much. And, with that's why we say, come join in the business coven. That's really our invitation. We're going to have some amazing, one of the coaches that I worked with too, like in the coven, we're going to have some really amazing women that are going to be talking about sales and marketing and money accounting and so many different aspects to come learn from, besides, of course, Heather and myself, because there's so much wisdom out there and we want to give it all to you. And, so come join us in Business Coven. For those who missed it, it just opened. Yes, Saturday, excuse me.
Yeah,
Saturday. On Saturday.
We've
And
already got a lovely group of women.
Already got a lovely group.
Oh, I'm glad that you're all there with us.
Yes. And so we're just gearing up, and, and being part of the founding members is you get to help shape the community and what goes in it and what your needs are. And that's what we're really excited about, is to see what our cauldron, like our ingredients, everything that we're putting in, what kind of soup we're making together. And I see it as a very wealthy, lucrative, just that like soup, I just think of our cauldron that we're all mixing together. It's going to be
it's brew. It's not soup. It's a potion. It's a potion.
Ooh.
It's a potion to heal the world.
I love that. That's so much better than my soup. Oh, I love it.
I mean, I like soup too, but yeah.
Oh, I love it. So Heather and I will put a link in the up here, most likely, to come join us for the next 2 weeks. We're inviting all founding members to be able to receive 50% off of the price for the lifetime of the membership, so that you can all get in there and be able to really access all of this deliciousness. And it's specifically also too for women with holistic and wellness-based businesses, which is very specific to us, those who really want to change the world and make a big impact, and also do it with support, and while also making 6 figures, because that's how we can give back to also the communities and as well. And Heather and I are very passionate about that. So we're thrilled to do this membership. We're like, it's gonna be so juicy.
Yeah, so come build your business with other women who have the same values as you, and just come be with us.
Come hang out. Come hang out. It's gonna be awesome.
Cool.
So with that, since we did a really long Monday,
we did.
Mini training, we can't stop. Money's such a great conversation, and we want to keep having more of these conversations, especially in the business coven. We're going to do some trainings around them and to really dig into those stories, because it is so needed.
And for today, we would definitely love to hear, if you want to share, if you have had that experience of actively pushing money away from you. We would love to hear more about it.
Yeah. Share your money stories. That is one thing I've learned, to be in your shadow work around money is powerful stuff. To be like, these are some sticky, crutchy things. We want to hear about it and see you and support you within it.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
with that, blessings, everyone. Blessings on Monday. Really carry this energy of wealth forward, of exploration with money. How can this shift your week?
All right, have a wonderful week. We will see you in the coven and in the group.
Bye.